All right, welcome in everybody to the Bear and Market Update. Today we're going to be looking at a lot of things within the market, what is happening, and also some key scenarios that will play out within the Trump administration, which is being decided on right now. This is going to be a good one because I think you guys will, as you know, part of being in the diamond circle is you get these podcasts that are specific and videos that are specific for only the diamond circle. So today, of course, this is a market update. So it goes out to our members that are in our market movers group and of course our members in the foundation group. The way that you can get these videos early is just jump over here to the website, Paul Bear Network, get into the market mover group or into the foundation group. Either one is going to get you these videos before anybody. It'll come to your email. It's very specific. If you're in the diamond circle and you're seeing this video, it's usually a day or two after we have released this out to our market movers and foundation members, just to give you guys a heads up on that. So do that. And of course, one of the things that you will get within that is a library of all of our market movers. So my previous predictions, calls, etc., all of that available to you guys to take a look at. But the key here is how quickly you can get to these videos, because this is stuff that is based off of research that we're working on for the main show over on PBN, but it happens before we actually shoot those shows. So that's the whole idea. Let's go to the markets real quick. I want to take a look at Bitcoin. I'll show you something on SUI here in a second, but let's take a look at Bitcoin, jump over into Bitcoin as it has broken out of that trend line, and we are now starting to see some movement again as Bitcoin starts to hit the 92K mark, 91.9 as we filmed this morning. One thing to watch right now, this was a zone right here on Friday that looked kind of interesting, because one of the things that, if you'll notice right here, I'll hover over this section right here. You guys see these PB sentiment metrics. This is part of the tools that are available to you on our MSI. And if you're a market mover or a foundation member, you already have this available within you, but within your platform. You can just go right over the indicators. You click on invite only. You'll see that MSI toolkit right there. That gets you the toolkit applied to your TradingView account. That just did it twice, so I'll kill that one off so you can kind of see how it works. The other thing that you can do within this, there's a lot of settings that you can change out within this that is pretty straightforward. I go in with the trailing stops with 10 and 3. I also don't necessarily show the MACD, but I do. It is available in there. You can go back as many as 12 periods. Another thing to take a look at is the squeeze momentum, which is also available within this chart, and your money flow, which I use right now, the length of 20 and smoothing on 20 also. And then a couple other things that we do is order blocks. I usually look back around a dozen order blocks. So that's basically how you can piece it all together. So there's the MACD, the squeeze momentum, as well as the sentiment all laid in along with your money flow coming in right here. So right now, Bitcoin's money flow definitely trending up. MACD, of course, has been on the rise for quite some time. We kind of broke that down earlier last week with Tim over from Investing Bros. But the point that I'm getting at is that sentiment targets are continuing to rise. Now we're holding trade sentiment at about 50%. So I anticipate we're going to bounce off of this 91, 92 area. We may see a little bit of a retracement here, but upside sentiment right now on Bitcoin, very, very strong. Others, of course, that we want to talk about is going to be Solana, and then I want to get into something about Trump selection. But jump over to Solana and SUI. These have been my two picks for quite some time. SUI, of course, is one that we've gone into in the last 6 months, and of course, the market moves on that one is pretty significant. The question is whether or not people are looking to move from Solana and SUI, or from ETH to Solana and SUI, as an alternative, because the performance around this market is going to be key. Meaning, are you going to be able to see the kind of numbers in terms of performance of your assets if you're invested in Ethereum versus some of these fast movers? Let's look at Solana real quick on the chart. And one thing you'll notice about Solana, of course, it hit the high over the weekend. It continues to perform this morning, tracing at a little over 240. This I anticipate right now very, very bullish. Net volume sentiment is holding at about 78, and overall sentiment holding at about 71. These are very strong sentiment numbers. Money flow is still coming strong. Key here is going to be some pushback. I think over time we're going to start to see a little bit of pushback on Solana, probably somewhere around the 250 mark, because this is more of a psychological range. Now, we aren't necessarily, this of course is just the daily. Let me kind of pull these MACDs off, and you guys can kind of take a look at some other things I want to showcase with this, because there's a couple of points within this that I do want to everybody kind of understand, is that when you look at Solana's overall sentiment, which has been trending up for quite some time, the key here is that recently we've started to see an acceleration in sentiment. So that to me tells me there may be a possibility for us to crack that 250 a little quicker than people are anticipating. And that 250 is a very critical point for Solana and how that may play out. So big deal there. Let's go down to SUI. Everybody always gets on me for that one. And one of the things with SUI that I do like to talk about is how fast this has accelerated. I got a lot of tokens here. How fast this has accelerated. We don't have enough data on SUI to be able to put the MSI indicator on it, but right here you'll notice the primary indicator sentiment. This was all the way back on the November 6th date. We had sentiment at 64.29 and it was up plus 2.9. Usually that means we're going to see some aggressive moves, which did happen. We had 3 days in a row straight up. Sentiment also 68.55, a plus 3.2. And at that point, if you look at the gain from this close to where we are right now, another 22% up. So far, sentiment has been closing in very tightly on SUI. And I think this is the key as we continue to hover around this 374 mark. We're still in kind of blue sky land with SUI. It is one that I think is still a $10 token. And it may do much more than that. I think the key here is going to be some of the key projects that they're going to be opening up, and whether or not the meme coin, fanatics start to really flow back into SUI, because we did see a little bit of activity on SUI for meme tokens, but I anticipate we might see a lot more. That is a big, big deal. Before we go into some of the longer term things here, I want to take a look at Avalanche as well. But I want to go over to this clip right here of Scaramucci. He's talking a little bit more about Trump's cabinet picks. Take a look.
You know how President Trump thinks, and he's been not shy about making clear that he wants low interest rates and saying that he feels a president should have say in that as well. At the news conference last week, Jay Powell, the Fed chair, made clear that he's not going to step down and that under law, he's not allowed to be fired by the president. Do you see this coming to a head?
So I don't. I'm going to take the contrary view of this. I think a lot of people that supported President Trump heard a lot of things that he was saying and said, okay, well, he's not really going to do that. That was just the rhetoric and the heat of the campaign. You know, there was sentiment on the left that they were going to tax unrealized gains. I think this is the doppelganger, meaning there's nobody on the right that wants to end the Fed's independence. If President Trump moves to end the Fed's independence, I am very certain that people like Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick would explain to him.
All right, so the statement that he made right there, Howard Lutnick and Bessent, both of these are being names that are tossed around for Secretary of Treasury. That to me is pretty significant. I do agree with Scaramucci on this take, as I don't think Trump will have much of an impact on Chair Powell and how that plays out. He may put some pressure on him for interest rates, because I anticipate we're probably going to start to see a slowing of dropping of interest rates based on just what we're seeing on inflation. So that's the big one. But I think that we may see Lutnick in a position as the Secretary of Treasury. Now, if that happens, that would be extremely bullish. I think that Bessent is out. I tweeted this morning. He is just too tied to CBDCs and George Soros. I think that will be on his way out, and I don't anticipate him being the Secretary of Treasury. But hey, listen, you never know with Trump. Other news I want to get to is this right here. big story, Goldman Sachs to spin out their crypto platform. Now, one of the things that matters with this, when you look at Goldman Sachs spinning out their crypto platform, what that tells me is, and this is a topic that a lot of people I don't think really understand where the money is going to come from to advance digital assets. So think about Goldman Sachs. Most of their investors are in either two demographics, Gen X or boomers. It's just that simple. About 80% of their investment hovers in the Gen X to boomer category. For them to look at spinning out a crypto platform, what that tells me is that, and if you look at the percentage of assets that are committed by Gen X and boomers, small fraction going into digital assets. So this tells me that there is a lot of income. There's a lot of money within these organizations that are saying we want access to more digital assets. You look right here, Goldman Sachs is prepping to spin out its cryptocurrency platform to create a new company focused on creating and trading financial instruments on blockchain networks. This is huge because it's going to focus in on the key demographics of where most of their investors are, which is mostly Gen X and boomers. That tells me we've got a lot of cash coming in. Now, will it rival that of 80% of Gen Z and Gen Y, which is how much is invested in digital assets? No, probably not. But the fact that the difference of how much money, 50% of all of crypto is controlled or held by Gen X and boomers. 50% today. So when you look at a market cap of almost 3 trillion, 50% of that is being held. Imagine if that percentage goes up to 5 to 10% of their liquid net worth going into digital assets. Now you start to understand what I'm talking about. That would put the market somewhere between 9 and 14 trillion. And that's without really accelerated growth. So there's a lot of opportunity here. Other points I think a lot of people are asking, is there something else that can move? BNB is another one that, of course, might end up making its way into a fairly aggressive token. We've looked at BNB before. It's not one that I'm necessarily on top of that I would invest in, but Solana continues to be in the news in terms of an opportunity here for a heavy year-end price run. So here's the caution that I must tell each of you is that if you're looking at Solana, and many of you guys have been in Solana probably since $10 to $15. So your run has been significant. Is this the time in which you would take profits? Now, some people might, if Solana hits 300 by end of year, would you take profits? That is a big question right now that a lot of investors are asking because you could try to hold this out and look for a 500 run, but I think the key here is still going to be connected to where Bitcoin is. Not as much around ETH, but definitely more around Bitcoin. Let's go back over to the charts real quick. And I want to show you guys something on not Algorand, but on Render. Render absolutely exploded over the weekend. We saw a nice 3 days move right here. And remember, when you're on our MSI, this is a big factor playing out within this. I just want to show you something. The money flow right now is starting to flow into Render again. And we've got a plus 3.8. This happened back here on the Thursday, the 14th. And what happened? 1, 2, 3, 4 days of uptrend here for Render. So this may be a big run. Now, granted, trade MSI is slowing right now at 50%, but overall average right now hovering around 69, and net volume sentiment. This is the volume activity and their trade sentiment, meaning people that are trading on the token right now, what they feel like around this activity for Render. Very positive, holding at 84%. This is a big disparity over the trade MSI, the trade itself. And I think this is something that you got to be very careful on with Render, but it could take Render into that $8.50 to $9 range within the next 2 weeks. So this is one we're watching right now. Again, another early move on Render. If you've been in it for quite some time watching our channel, of course you've been in it, but this is one that I think is really going to take off. Get ready. Render will be one of the key AI tokens. I am holding this long term and plan to keep it that way for quite some time. Everybody's been asking, wow, XRP exploded through the weekend. absolutely exploded. You look at the headline alone, it's stuck at $1. Now imagine being stuck at $1, but question is can people move it? Yes, it actually moved significantly over the weekend. And if you look at XRP, I'll go over to XRP on the chart, share this instead. There was the run up right there over the last 4 days. Starting back here on Thursday, we had that nice little move going to almost 78 cents, then popping to the next day at 90 cents. And then on, of course, Saturday, we saw it go to $1.12, absolutely exploded, recrest down a little bit, but is back on the move today at $1.14. I anticipate that we are going to see a lot more activity here. Here's the thing with net volume sentiment right now. Let me zoom in on this. I haven't seen a 90 in quite some time, just to give you guys an example. Let me kind of click off this and zoom in on this because it's a little hard to pull that in. There we go. All right, so there is the net volume sentiment holding at 91.2 on XRP. This is very, very bullish for all you XRP holders. Of course, this is the one to watch. And will there be some meme tokens on XRP? I anticipate we might see some. So listen, we do these kind of breakdowns for you guys only on the Barron Market Update. And of course, the only way to get to the Barron Market Update early is be a member. And it's very simple. If you're not already tied in and you're catching this in our email to our Diamond Circle, usually a day or two after it goes out to our members, then great. If you're catching us on YouTube another day or two after, then hopefully you're going to come over to Paul Barron Network and just join and be part of our community where you get exclusive videos specifically for members, and they get them first and foremost. So check it all out. We'll catch you guys later. Take care.